That's fine. Okay. So, moving my baby off to blanket. So the baby can sit here. Lie down on the floor. So when you lie down on the floor, keep your knees flat down on the ground. So hopefully can see you. So I'll just adjust the camera. Lovely. Okay, right. So keep your head down for now. And just as you are lying down there, lovely, just take a few breaths. So make sure that your feet are completely down on the ground and knees are hip distance apart. Lovely. Okay. And as you're breathing in and out, just notice what's happening with your breath and with the rest of the body. So in particular, your belly, how your belly responds to your breath. Now with your right hand, bring your right hand down to your belly and your belly button. So underneath the belly button, so either a little bit up on the top, above the belly button, so just towards your ribs, or down below the belly button, down towards the pubic bone. So that's kind of the line that you would be feeling. Now the pressure has to be, well, in some cases it is a very light pressure, some cases it has to be a little bit firmer. Now as you lift your head up, slightly off the floor, and then above the belly button, press down into that hole. Well, whether it's a hole, whether you'll be feeling a hole or whether there's no gap. So you'll notice whether there's a gap above the belly button and then below on your sort of under the where the more meaty part of your belly is, or fleshy part of your belly. So you'll notice if there's a gap, or you'll notice there's no gap, and then release your head down. And if you didn't notice anything, and if it's hard to notice the first time, perhaps do it one more time, lifting your head up. And just notice under your fingers the tension with the muscles. And then release down. So you stay where you are. Don't have to repeat it again. But just sort of, it's just to explain briefly, there should be a gap. So there's either a gap, if there's a gap, if diastasis recti, if there's a gap there, you'll be feeling just underneath your fingers, almost like a space there, and you'll be feeling the muscles along both sides of the fingers. If there's no gap, it would be completely flat. It would be very firm as you lift your head, and it would be sort of like flat surface. So there would be no gaps. So it's very important that that gap is closed off during after delivery before you attempt to do any kind of abdominal practices. So any crunches like that are not going to work if there's a gap, if there's diastasis recti. There's so many things that we can do without it. Anything um, uh, so sort of what you can do so the best thing to do is the breathing practices and certain practices that we're going to do today. And also if the gap is too big, so the more crunches you do at this stage, if there is a gap, the wider the gap is going to get. So the muscles will just become loose and there won't be any kind of like a threading in. There's nothing going to be kind of keep them to keep it like a corset, to keep it tight. So they're just going to go wider. So, and I've known so many women with very big gaps with their children being 10 years old. So it is possible for that gap to get wider, but it is also possible for the gap to completely close or to close to the point where there's a small, tiny gap in between. So you'll know that when you do the practice, and you'll know, because I can't feel you, I can't see you now, but you'll know whether there's a gap under there or not. The other instructions, so you'll have the written instructions in there anyway on the website. So go, if you haven't managed to get to check now whether there's anything there. But whilst you're there, so these practices you can do though, whilst you're lying down, keeping your feet down onto the ground, and just going back to establishing your breath, keeping your arms down to the side of your body. So for the practices that we're going to do, there should be no weight in your hands. So everything should be coming down from your pelvis, and it should be coming, so all the muscle, the tension, and the strength should be coming from your pelvis and from your core muscles down. So no support with the hands. The hands are lying loose on the floor. So firstly, take a deep breath. So inhaling in through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply through your nose. Exhale through your mouth again. So the next time you can carry on breathing normally. But as you do so, notice the feet on the ground. Notice the sitting bones on the ground. Notice your lower back, your shoulders, the shoulder blades down on the ground. Tip your head a little bit forward so your chin is into your chest. Tiny bit into your chest. Now as you exhale next time, push into your feet without lifting your sitting bones off the floor. Just notice what's happening with your pelvis. So as you exhaling, pushing in with your feet into the floor, and inhale normally. and release the pressure with the feet. Exhale, push into the feet. And inhale normally. Exhale one more time. Exhale, push into the feet and notice the lower, the small back, the lower back pressing into the floor and perhaps just touching the floor completely. As you inhale and release the pressure on your feet, notice the lower back moving away from the floor. As if there's a bigger gap under your lower back. So between your lower back and your and the floor, you might be able to put the hand between. So if you were putting the hand between the lower back and the floor, there would be kind of big gap here. Well, mine is anyway. So do that movement 5 times. Exhaling, pushing into the feet, noticing the lower back touching the floor. Inhaling, releasing the feet and noticing the back lengthening or increasing the space between the floor and the back. Making sure that you do the breath with all of those. Keeping the knees as stable as they are or they can be. Just noticing the movement with the pelvis. And then releasing completely. So releasing down onto the floor, releasing the pressure, keeping the chin a little bit into your chest still. Now this time, as you're exaggerating, the movements will be a little bit more exaggerated, but you will be moving so that you're going to lift tiny bit, lift the sitting bones off the floor. So as you are exhaling, pushing into the feet, slowly lifting the sitting bones a tiny bit off the floor, and then seeing how that goes. And then as you're inhaling, lowering the back down and releasing the sitting bones down onto the floor. So exhale, push into the feet. Put so the lower back goes down towards the floor, pushes into the floor, whereas you're lifting the sitting bones off. So the first time round, you weren't taking the sitting bones off. This time was taking the sitting bones off. And this is just a small, tiny movement. So just exaggerating the pressure on the lower back, as in the pressure towards the floor, pushing the belly into the floor and into the spine. And then as you inhale, release the pressure on the feet and release the vertebrae, the back completely, and the sitting bones down towards the floor. And again, exhale, push into the floor and slightly move the sitting bones off the floor. So tiny, but a tiny movement, so that you can perhaps place the hands underneath your sitting bones, and that's how wide it is. And inhale and release down. 3 more times. Exhale, push. Lift the sitting bones. Keep the feet on the ground, pushed firmly into the floor. And release slowly on the inhale. And again. Good. And release. Lovely. And last time, you do it, and then release completely down onto the floor. And then this time, bring your knees into your chest. Good. And release down towards the floor. One leg at a time. Possibly maybe feeling a little bit better doing that way. Now this time, and see how you go, because everyone's going to be different, and every the birth will be different, and how you're going to go about it. So really notice. So if there was no diastasis recti in between, so there was no hole there, perhaps you may be able to go a little bit higher to come up into the bridge, or stay with the small, tiny movements. So notice how you feel and how you're going to go about it. So as you exhaling, pushing into the feet, so slowly noticing the back, slowly the lower back kind of pushing into the floor, but then as you lifting the sitting bones off the floor a little bit higher, then you lengthening the thighs towards the knees. And as you inhale, slowly going down, releasing the vertebrae by vertebrae down towards the floor, and then releasing the sitting bones down on the floor. Now you can be doing that, or you can be just doing 3 more rounds of very, very tiny movements. So only the pelvis moving. Exhaling, pushing in, and a little bit raising the sitting bones off the floor, but tiny bit, and then inhaling, releasing, so only the movement of your pelvis. Lovely. Good. Now the next thing you're going to do is staying with this practice completely. As you exhale, and you tiny bit raise your sorry, not raise your, but you just push into, so leaving the sitting bones where they are, but you push into the feet, push your belly into the spine and your spine towards the floor. You're going to stay on the exhaling here and slowly lift, or try to lift, raise the right leg off the floor. Could be just releasing the pressure rather than raising the leg off the floor. And then the left side. So that's quite high. So you raise it a tiny bit. As you're raising the foot a tiny bit, and then releasing down on the floor. So remember, there's no pressure on the arms at all. This is all done through your lower body. So as you exhaling, pushing into the feet first, push your belly into the spine and push the spine towards the floor. So let the pelvis rotate first. And then slowly take the right leg off. And then the left. Right. Left. And then release down completely onto the floor. Notice the pelvis moving. Bring your knees into your chest. Release the lower back down onto the floor. And then slowly turn over to the side. And stay there. Lovely. Turn over onto all fours. So bring your, put your blanket underneath your knees, perhaps, and place your hands completely down onto the floor. So this is, you know these practices. We've done them before, so the cat and cow and the breathing practice stays the same as they are before. So make sure that your knees are supported, your hands are supported completely. So you're inhaling here, just notice your belly, push your belly into your spine as you exhale, and then almost flatten your back. Inhale here. As you exhale, bring your awareness to your pubic bone, bring the pubic bone forward, drop the head down, curve the spine. As you inhale, take the tailbone up towards the ceiling, open the chest, gaze forward. Exhale, pubic bone goes forward. Curve the spine, drop the head down. Inhale, take the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Open the chest, gaze forward. Exhale one more time, moving to cat from your tailbone down towards your head. And one more time into cow from the tailbone up towards your head. Come back into neutral position. If your wrists are okay with this pose, with this, we carry on. Otherwise, make a break and go down into the child's pose. So coming on to all fours, bring the awareness to your right foot, and then slide your right foot behind you, pushing into the toes. So stretching the foot away and the leg away from you. Lovely. Keep your head as if you're gazing towards the front of the mat. And exhale, bring the leg back to center. Inhale, push the left foot away from you. Keep your belly close to your spine. Exhale, come back to center. And again, inhale, right leg. And this time, lift the foot a little bit off the floor, keeping your belly close to the spine. So you're lifting and pushing through the heel, through the sole of your foot. Now staying in this position, if you're okay with that, and then adding on the left arm, stretching the left arm away from you, in from the one direction you're stretching from the left fingertip and towards the right toe. Exhale, release the hand and the leg down. Inhale, left leg away, and then lift it up a tiny bit, pushing through the heel and pushing through the sole of the foot. Hold on to your belly closer to the spine. Inhale in and engage the right arm, lifting the right arm. Exhale, come back to center. One more time. This time, both arms and leg and arm and leg go at the same time. Stretching out and inhale. And on the exhale, bend the knee, bend the elbow, curve the back, let the knee and the elbow meet. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. One more time. Inhale, open. And release down both the leg and the arm. And then repeat on the left side. Left leg, right arm, stretching away on the inhale. Belly into your spine as you exhale, elbow and knee meet up to where they can. Curve the back. Inhale, push. Exhale, close. Inhale, push and lengthen. Exhale, curve the back and release down to the floor. This time make a space between the knees and then just sit back into the child's pose. Drop your head down. And just notice the stretch in your arms, the stretch in your sitting bones. So move your sitting bones towards your heels. And the more you stretch there, the more you release, you may find. If you wish to make the knees a bit closer and then go into the complete child's pose and dropping the head down completely down and the arms behind you, absolutely you can do so. But perhaps you want to keep the length in the arms just for your wrists. Lovely. And come on to all fours. When you're ready, tuck your toes under. And then bring your belly into the spine, push your tailbone up towards the ceiling and come into downward dog. Notice the stretch in your legs. Notice the stretch in your shoulders. push your tailbones higher, as high towards the ceiling as you can, and push away from your arms. As you exhale, and then as you inhale, look between your hands, then lower your knees down as you exhale and come down into all fours. Come down into child's pose. So they're not staying here, we're moving faster a little bit. Inhale, come on to all fours. Tuck the toes under. Exhale, come into downward dog. Look between your hands. Inhale, coming almost close to the plank. Exhale, knees down and down into child's pose. Inhale, look between your hands. Tuck the toes under and come into downward dog as you exhale. Look between your hands, coming almost into plank, holding the breath, exhaling, knees down, child's pose. And one more time, inhale, onto all fours, tucking the toes under, exhaling, downward dog. Inhaling, looking between your hands, holding the breath, knees down, exhale, down to child's pose and stay here. Good. Lovely. Now slowly walk yourself up into seated pose. Make a space between your knees so that you're sitting onto your heels. Right, sitting on the heels, there's a space between the legs there. So there's a space between the inner thighs. If it's comfortable to sit on the knees like that, then stay like this. So we won't be going down completely down onto the chest, not breast now, but I'll just show you quickly. So what we're going to do a bit of just on the pelvic floor, and then we're going to walk our hands down a little bit, and then just come down onto onto our forearms with the arms. With the legs in the same direction as they were. So then push a little bit, so backwards, so that your knees go up above under the hips. If that's not comfortable, then perhaps a little bit further away. But this is going to be pushing your knees and pushing your legs a little bit wider. So perhaps you don't want to do it that way because there will be quite a lot of pressure in here. And really you don't want to open up so much straight away. So you want to go a little bit backwards. And just staying here. So you can stay here if you want to, or if you want to go up. So firstly, come onto seated. So wide seated pose with heels, toes touching and heels under your sitting bones. Then as you here, firstly, just release the arms down and notice and close your eyes. Notice perhaps the tension in your thighs, the inner thighs. Notice as you exhale the release completely down onto your sitting bones. And inhaling and exhaling here. Every time as you inhale, feel as if you're coming off your sitting bones. So you won't be physically coming off, but just lengthen through the crown of your head. And as you exhale, feel the weight of your exhale, perhaps pushing even further down into the ground, in towards the heels. Now bring your awareness to your pelvic floor. So the area, the triangle that is between your inner thighs now. And perhaps the corners are down where your heels are. Now as you exhale, try and move or just bring your awareness to your sitting bones. And as you exhale, bring your sitting bones closer towards each other. On the exhale. As you inhale, release. Again, as you exhale, bring your sitting bones closer towards each other. Relax the shoulders, no movement in the upper body. Just notice perhaps the tension, a bit more tension in the inner thighs. And release on the inhale. Exhale. Squeeze the inner thighs towards each other. And perhaps bring a little bit closer up towards the navel. So have the movement of the lengthening movement or the lifting movement. Sense it somewhere in your pelvic floor. And on the inhale, release completely. Open your eyes, walk your hands forward. I'll come onto forearms. And then judge, wherever you are, judge your distance on the floor. So whether you're coming a little bit forward or a bit back, it's down to you. The sensation should be in your inner thighs, the front of your inner thighs. There should be no sensation in the knees. And if it's easier for you to stay here, then stay here. And if you want to let your head and let your forehead down, then do so. So either by using a bolster, if you have one, or placing the fists down onto the floor and then just resting the forehead down onto the floor. And keep your belly close to the spine. Don't let your belly just flop down. Use your breath here. So you can stay where you are. If you feel that you have the strength to go down, to completely go down onto the floor with the sitting bones completely down, touching the floor and lifting the legs, the feet off the floor, you do so. And then either stay with, if you're doing that, then take your head down towards the floor or lift up into Sphinx. So this will depend on which stage you are in, postnatally, and how you feel. Make sure that your back, the lower back, is not receiving too much pressure. There should be just a small compression on the lower back. And then either completely go down onto the floor, keeping your legs together, or go back up into your child's pose. Making sure that the head, if you're in child's pose, so the head is in the forward position, so resting down onto the floor. Or if you're down onto the floor, then just lying down onto the floor, letting your belly relax completely onto the floor and letting your head relax, the hips relax too. And place your hands under your face and then slowly go down onto the floor, completely down onto the floor for relaxation. So we've started a bit later, so we're just going to go into a quick relaxation. Just go completely down onto the floor. Make sure that you have something under your knees. So either bolster or perhaps the cushions under the knees and the back completely flat. Or if you wish to go against the wall, then you can do so against the wall with the legs up a little bit and the back completely flat. Whichever one you decide to do and to choose, go make sure that the back is completely flat. The lower back is resting down on the floor. The head's heavy. The chin's a tiny bit into your chest. And firstly, notice your breath. And then scan your body. Mentally scan your body. Notice every part of your body touching the floor. Notice your sitting bones completely down on the floor. Notice your lower back. The upper back, the shoulder blades. The shoulders relaxing down and dropping down with every single one of your exhales. And notice your head, the back of your head, down on the floor, becoming heavy. Take a deep breath, deep inhale, and exhale through your mouth, making a sound. Inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. And just notice how you feel with the exhale. Then bring your awareness to the sounds that you can hear. The sounds coming from outside your room. The sounds coming from inside the room. The sound of your breath. And again, rotate your awareness to the sounds that are coming from outside the room. Notice everything that's coming from outside the room. Notice the sounds that are coming from inside the room. Notice the sounds of the bell. And stay with the sounds. Now notice the sound of your breath. And stay with your breath. Now become aware slowly of your physical position. Notice your fingers and your toes. Circle your wrists. And circle your ankles. You can stay there if you wish to. If you're ready, and if you want to come out, then just take a big inhale, inhaling through your mouth, nose, sorry. Even yawn. And taking exhaling. And taking the arms over the head on the inhale and the legs stretching in the opposite direction. And as you exhale, bringing the knees into your chest, one by one. Rocking from one side to another. And then taking the knees to the right, opening the arms wide. Taking the knees to the right. And staying there for a moment. And as you inhale, when you're ready, bringing the knees back to the middle. And as you exhale, taking the knees to the left. Then turning the torso over so that it stays on the same side, lying down on the side. And so then you can push yourself up when you're ready to sit up into a seated pose. Good. And then taking a big inhale through your arms, lengthening through the fingertips. And as you exhale, turn the palms away from each other and exhaling, floating the arms down towards the floor. One more time, inhale up. And now as you exhale, hands to heart center down into Anjali Mudra. Dropping the head down and releasing. Taking it all step by step, small steps to come back to normal body. No rush. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming and joining the class. Thank you so much. And it's so